Welcome to the Reality After Show covering The Challenge, Season 39, Battle for a New Champion, Episodes 8 and 9. We are back. I am your host, Alex Trias, joined as always by my ride or die. It's Dan Montchal. Dan, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Little bummed at the outcome of these two episodes, but
Yeah.
I guess my only hope now is that with Big T and Melissa out of this game, they're not the easy scapegoats anymore. So what's everyone in the house going to do now?
So the issue is, we sort of know what everyone in the house wants to do already. Like, they already said who the next two that were the lowest on the chain were, which for these two episodes, that's my big gripe with if any of these people come back to play again, like they need to understand, like, while this is successful, I'm not even talking from an entertainment standpoint. I'm talking from the people that are consistently on the bottom will realize at some point, especially after a season like this, that you can't do the big majority groups. It's not about doing what the alliances want. You need to do what's best for you, but also managing the future if you want to have all those callbacks. So you need to have both. You can't just have one or the other. And also just fuck you, Emmanuel, for essentially saying I'm not here to make TV. You're on a literal television show. I don't care that you're there for the money. I don't care if you have the best intentions in the world. You need to be entertaining, because for most people, obviously there's some bearing. You need to be entertaining. Like, you can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to avoid the drama. I'm going to play this perfect middling game. I'll win the money, and then I'll get called back again. Then I'll be messy. I'm like, no, fuck you. Fuck you, man.
Well, as we see in episode 9, I don't even really think you can say Emmanuel and best intentions in the same sentence, but, you know.
Well, he's not, and it's like the drama that's circling him, he's the least interesting part of it.
Yep.
Like, he brings no inflection. He brings nothing to the table. It was like, it made you actually give a shit about Colleen, who before episode 8, you could have asked anyone who was on the cast and they would have forgot that she was even there.
You know, that's very true. If we start to dive into it, we'll start with episode 8. It is Asaph is the biggest douche in the world. Sorry, that's just what's rambled all through my notes here.
But also, before you keep going, the reason why we didn't have episode 8 was, Dan and I, we were out drinking one night prior to us doing episode 8, and Dan was like arguing with someone, and he threw a drink at them, but it hit my shirt. Do you know this shirt?
At Ross Dress for Less.
Yeah, Ross Dress for Less or JohnnyBananas.com. You know, it's just... And that confessional, everyone, I was catching up on episodes late last night because I've had a busy life the last 2 weeks. The last thing I needed to hear was at 1:30 in the morning, listening to that episode, and Asaph trying to flex on people by saying, I can't believe that Melissa got this on my shirt. I really liked this shirt. Why was that in the episode?
I have no idea, but I will say, for episode 9, him calling himself the new Devin, Devin's response on social media was the absolute best. I'm not sure if you saw it.
Yes, I did. So I saw that before the episode, before I watched the episode. And he's not Devin. Like, yes, Devin's conniving. He's trying to outplay people, for sure. But for the most part, what Devin said on Twitter is true. Like, he rides for his people, and it's very obvious who he's riding with for the most part, or at least his top priorities in any game. Like, his game isn't, nobody knows where my intentions are. They think I'm aligned with nobody. Ha ha ha. Like, God damn it, Asaph. Like, brother, you're desperately trying to get a call back. It ain't working. It ain't working.
No, it's not at all.
You can be a first boot in the future, but...
Well, I think that's what he was offering up. His response to Devin was, you and me, like, next season, first elimination. it'll be, you know, Asaph and Devin in the sand, because that's what everyone wants to say. And that's where Devin clapped back again and said, "Eat my ass, your music sucks."
Which is true. I saw the clip of him and Jay legitimately thinking that they were doing something, and it was awful. It was awful, and like I hate bashing on people, but when they make it so easy to bash on them, it's easy. And also, Asaf, if you think you're going down in elimination with Devin in the first episode of the season, and production isn't going to make it a coffee table puzzle comp, you're kidding yourself.
Yeah, that's, you know, that's what he lives for. But anyway, so starting with episode 8, struggling to hold it together, we start and it's just Emmanuel and Corey. They're glad to be back in the house, and this is where we start to see, you know, the annual Emmanuel. He wants his revenge tour on Kyle and Horacio and Big T. And Michelle's just bummed that Callum left, but you can tell that Jay is secretly happy to have him not in the house anymore.
Yeah, he immediately goes, well, now you can actually think about the game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And you know what? Michelle's better off. As we saw at the end of the episode where Callum left us, she's now a sponsor for a dating app.
Yeah, she's doing big things. You know, she's getting there. And especially, like I said, we were talking about it last episode. Had Callum stayed and those feelings continued to grow, like that just would have made this worse and worse. So while pissed at Devin at the time, did her the biggest favor he possibly could.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then I have here that we finally got a confessional from Colleen. Wasn't all that exciting, so I didn't really write many notes down on it. But then we have Big T makes her call from home, and we see a friendly face. We finally have Kyle back on the challenge screens. Unfortunately, not for the season, but it's always good to see a little bit of Kyle on the challenge.
Always love hearing Kyle. I'm just hearing him for like that 90 seconds made me remember how much I miss him. I miss his humor. He was made for the challenge, made for reality television. Like I desperately want to see him come back. I love him like half joking to Big T of going like, give me a list of all the people that fucked you over and I'll go and eliminate every single last one of them. And Big T just immediately go like, how long do you want the list to be?
It's the entire house minus Melissa, pretty much.
And Mariah. She's a big Mariah fan.
True. That is true. But yeah, so it was nice. It's nice to see him back. I mean, I think everyone hopes that we get him back in the future, but at least we got a glimpse of him. And then we go pretty quickly to the daily in this episode, and the daily is Tower of Power. It's played in 2 teams. Each team will build a barricade to keep the other team out of their tower. They have 30 minutes to try and, you know, disrupt the path as best as possible. After 30 minutes, the teams will trade place and break into the other team's tower, raise a flag to the top. First one to do that wins. And
Question.
Let's see. Go for it.
Question. Did you know that Jay won this type of elimination against CT?
I wish that they would have mentioned it somewhere in the episode.
I hate the fact that every other confessional from him in there was referencing CT. This is battle for a new champion. Live on your own fucking cred. Yes, you beat CT, but you constantly talking about it will make people watch back. And they'll also remember what type of CT that was that season.
It's of course.
I'm not saying it's like the Disney World NBA championship, the COVID trophies, you know, but I'm not saying it's not.
It really is. I think it's for everyone that is a CT fan, and you know that's the person that they're rolling for as the GOAT or one of the best. They do have to thank Jay, because had Jay not pulled that off upset, we would not have seen the next 2 seasons of CT coming back and being like, hey, yeah, I won, War of the Worlds 2 with Dad Bod. It's been working with me, but I'm going to come back on a fucking vengeance and destroy the show, which is what he did. So we appreciate that part of it, Jay, but everything else, leave it alone.
And at this point, with how much they talk about him, especially Jay, I need Jay or someone extremely close to Jay, which in this season is Asaf, to be the one that has to go in an elimination against CT and get their head buried into the sand.
As much fun as I would love to see CT just destroy Asaf, especially, as we keep going. My notes are littered with, I can't stand this guy. I think all the confessionals he had and talking to the team here of this is what it takes to beat CT and yada, yada, yada. I think it needs to be Jay that he destroys. I just think it does.
Can we compromise and make it both?
I'm perfectly fine with that.
We can make it both. There's no Kyle in that situation who's going to sneak out of a 3-way elimination with the win.
Yeah.
They will both get demolished.
Yeah, give CT the redemption on that stupid first War of the Worlds elimination, and he'll beat them both.
You know what? I just thought of something. They won't do it. But because they've been bringing people back and giving people their strengths for eliminations. Bananas backpack.
That would definitely be
tell
iconic.
Me CT wouldn't be able to carry both of them the way that he carried Johnny.
Oh, easily.
I don't care how many bananas Asaf eats. Okay? It's 5, by the way. But I will say, to Jay's credit, he is correct overall when it comes to a big portion of this was going to be the knot tying and the small heavy stuff that you just keep blocking on all the doors. But the chains are obviously going to be harder to untangle than the rope. I didn't need him to butcher his words 100 times trying to say that chain is more difficult. The necklace is more difficult than rope. Necklace. I was I thought he was about to have an aneurysm of how much he was jumbling over the words, trying to say the same sentence over and over and over and over and over again. I was like, buddy, we get it. And then you have the other team, which is allowing Kylan to lead. And the one thing I can't stand is when someone decides to take charge, but all of you who don't want to win anyway, allow him to take charge. And then you go in confessional and you rip his ass for you're such a bad leader. You should have listened to other people's plans. I'm like, well, were there other plans? Because it sounds like all of you decided to just be a little bit quiet.
Yeah, it was really... Kylan was in a lose-lose situation. There was nothing he was going to do because you look at it, I have the teams down here, and he's with Colleen, Melissa, Ed, Big T, Asaf, Michelle, Olivia, and Horacio. So outside of Horacio, Big T, and Melissa, I don't really know who else is trying in this daily.
Michelle at least is half trying in this, because she at least presents as half trying with how she's asking for direction, asking for what can I do to help and all those things. And Kylan, I get it. It's he has this plan in his head. I think it's harder for him to fully flesh out and communicate to everyone what that plan is, given what we know about Kylan. But I could deal without Asaf in confessional calling him a prick because he's bad at tying a knot and all that. I'm this Asaf Kylan Ward, obviously all these confessionals happened at the same time and after the fact. So this is all after what we saw in episode 9, which by the way, I'll say it now and I'll say it when we get to it. Asaf is a baby back bitch. But there's obviously tension there. And these 2 episodes made me side with Kylan. Not saying Kylan's a good player yet.
Of course.
But I side with Kylan, and I will be backing him up as we go through these episodes with what transpires through these episodes.
And it is, it is easy for Kylan to give this confessional because it's after the fact. But hey, at least he does it. He does say once it's all over that he does feel bad. He feels responsible. He says he almost wishes it was a guy's day so he could go down. And that way it would also protect Melissa. Because,
and like
spoiler
tracks.
alert. Yeah, say spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Melissa is the one who gets picked by the other team to go down.
And like that tracks for him and how we've seen him as a player since like USA, from when he was introduced to us in Challenge USA. For those that didn't see him in Challenge or non-Challenge in Big Brother, where coincidentally in Big Brother he also made a shout out to somebody's family when something went against him, but different circumstances. I'm on board with this one, but yeah. So like he's that white knight in shining armor type of guy who's also. He has this idea of how the game should go. He has this idea of how the path should be for the season and for this daily in particular. It just doesn't work out. It wasn't as lopsided as they were trying to make it sound, because ultimately there was a big chain war. Jay's group wins all the chains, so he just goes and works on ropes. They try to use ropes to lace around the doors, the walls, the fences. It doesn't really work. And Jay's group ultimately gets through with the win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will say, because Jay's group was, and who knows really with editing, but from at least how we're shown it, is Jay's group did have this massive lead, and it does look like the other group did make a lot of comeback. Yeah, they got to the last door, which it looked like when Jay's group got to the last door that the other team had no shot.
Yeah. I think like it's ultimately like Jay said, it was like the Chekhov's chain knot. It was like they did the other chains early, but then as soon as they were finishing everything up, they were only like just starting that last chain that he initially tied up as they went up and won. So now it's time for Jay's. I'm just going to keep saying Jay's group because for the life of me, I cannot remember everybody. They're deliberating about who to go in, and Emmanuel immediately goes like, let's just run it back. Let's just do the same two people that are on the bottom and have absolutely no one. And it's very stupid for why we're doing this, because the one thing we skipped before going into the daily was there was a conversation between the Ride or Die girls and Jay and Corey. And they were talking about how we should start looking at taking out people who will actually be threats in the final. Obviously, they can't do it this round because Zaza is on their team, I believe, when they win.
Yes.
And same with Raven, who we know by episode 9, the Rider and Guy girls are like, Zaza and Raven are the next people that they want to take out. Those are the next two, and along with Colleen, drop down onto the totem pole. So they want to run it back. You hear from Raven. Mariah slips and she regrets saying, like, let's just do Melissa. It's the easy thing. People will vote Big T in anyway. So we ultimately see Melissa go in, despite Melissa having a few like alleged allies in Zaza and James on that side.
Well, both of them do speak up. Like, they both do say, like, hey, I don't want to vote Melissa.
I don't want to do this. Yeah.
But they're just outnumbered there. And so this is where we start to get, that Hurricane Melissa going, because she's voted for. Melissa's pissed at Raven and Berna and Corey as well, and calls Corey a bitch ass.
And he is, because he was apologizing to her, saying, like, I would love to make it up for you and, like, re-earn your trust. And, the best way to re-earn trust is the first chance you get to say their name, you do. And, like, you hear it from Big T later where she's like, I was expecting my name to come. Nobody apologized to me. Like, they actively apologized to Melissa and then did that to her. So it's like, what are you supposed to do? Like, they both realize they're on an island. But their issue is like there's certain like individual connections that they have that they're almost like desperately hoping that are real. Like, obviously you saw the Corey of it all, and we know that Asaf of it all, because Asaf is playing to them as if he's an international, which like, yeah, he lived in Israel for a bit, but like all part of his strategy of looking like he has nobody in the game. But as we go through this episode, I really wish you could have seen, because there was a lot of stuff on Twitter these last 2 weeks, especially around Raven, of like, You know, for someone who's getting called naive, like I went to an Ivy League school and all that, and like I
Mhm.
like Raven. I think Raven's
Yep.
a very good character and someone that's going to be great for the show. I was just hoping that they started seeing what Colleen sees in episode 9 when it's her name being said. And it's like I feel people are actively avoiding the bigger question there of like, okay, we're constantly attacking Big T and Melissa. What happens when Big T and Melissa go? You're not running all the rest of you to the final. Who is the core? Are you in that core or are you out of it? Because most of you are out of it. And I wish they would see these like pieces of the puzzle and just have it click. That's what this season is like desperately needing is that shift and that turn against the core.
Oh, I completely agree. Like the writing's on the wall everywhere that it's just like, come on, like if we could start to piece some of these pieces together so we could have that shift. But unfortunately, we have all the evidence in the world that it's just not going to happen as much as we want it to,
And
which
so my hope is for
sucks.
those that do get called back in the future post this season, they're watching these episodes back and realizing how much of a fool they were made of by the core group. And I like the people in the core group. But what I like better is a show where you have dynamic shifts in the game. Because when you just have one giant glob from start to finish, just maneuvering and taking out its ends as you go along, that's not entertaining television. And I'm not even hating this season. I know I'm bashing a lot of shit this episode, but like I'm enjoying this season more than I have for a lot of the last few that we've watched and covered. I
Yeah.
just need to see these players take that next step, continue to be entertaining, continue to drive drama, but you need charisma. You need to have the idea of understanding when to make the points and the shifts. And you're taking away all the people who have charisma from the show.
Yeah, it's really, it's unfortunate because I know we both like Michelle. But I think going off of last season of USA 2 in this season, where so many people she thought that, viewed her as their number one, and they get to see
Mhm.
all this back, I'm really worried for her stance in the game in future seasons. I wouldn't,
It
unfortunately,
really
wouldn't be.
depends.
It does depend on the cast, but if it breaks certain ways, I don't think she's going to be in and given the benefit of the doubt as more of the vet as much as others would because of some of the things that she has going on this season and towards the end of USA 2.
Well, and without doubt, especially from the women's side, because I don't think it's a hot take. The women are carrying this show on
100%.
its on their back. I was listening to a live this week between Mariah and Big T, and it's very clear they're close. They're good with Melissa still. They both have like intertwined like beefs with people. Like Mariah has beef with Olivia. Obviously, as we see throughout these episodes, like she just feels the type of way with how Olivia handled these situations. Big T has issues with Michelle and well, a slew of other people. Um,
Yeah.
so like it'll be interesting to see groups of these people come back because now there's certain people that are in this core, like a Mariah, that would now in a future season would actually lean more towards Big T and Melissa. Because we see them
Yeah.
come back from the house here, and Mariah's like instantly regretting saying Melissa's name here because she's just like, but I'm like friends with these people. I'm roommates with them. Like they're not threats to me for the final. We should be taking out people that are threats for the final. And that's where it's like she's looking at Colleen, which I'm also like, Olivia's right there, but go off.
Olivia, Nerys, like they're all right there. But I will say that I'll give Mariah credit here. I know we probably haven't given her a ton of credit this season, but she is being more malleable, but she's also not betraying her alliance that it's getting that death nail that we saw Corey kind of get a few episodes ago, where Melissa is just pressing on her, being like, how did that deliberation go down? Tell me. And Mariah won't budge. She's like, I really like you. You two are great, but I just can't do it. I'm sorry.
Right. And like she is so, like she essentially said to them like I was never aligned with you guys. I like you both, but just because of how the game is, I can't really be helpful for you.
Hmm.
Which is fair. That's fair. And I think both of them like understand that part. But like Melissa's just like on this drive, like I just need to know the exact person who drove the narrative. Because all she's hearing is it was a majority decision. It was unanimous. And she's like, I know it's not unanimous. James and Zaza are there, and they both wouldn't have said my name willingly.
Yeah. And so, like, the other really damning thing, like, just touching back on Michelle a little bit, is Mariah's trying to push Colleen as the vote over Big T. And Michelle's just confessional here, just being like, well, I think I could shift the votes that way if it needs to be. And it's just like, yes, you can, but I don't know if I'd put that out there on TV showing that you have that much sway over people, because she pulled the wool over so many people's eyes this season.
I will admit though, in terms of that specific confessional, if you got to that confessional this season, you're watching it back as a player, and that's when you realize that Michelle had power. I think Michelle's fine.
Oh no! Just it was more.
You have Ed going, what? She could do all this, and then you'll come back and be like, I'm ready to play with you again.
I like Ed. He just doesn't seem to have a clue.
I love it. Ed is a supporting character. He'll never be a lead. Like I saw someone actually bring this up on Twitter, and they were like, the people that could come back, and these are people that have the potential to be main characters in a season. Here are the people that could be like main / supporting characters, and then your supporting characters, and then the thanks for coming, hope to see you never type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you have your Michelle's, Narice's, Olivia's, like they've have had moments where they can show that they can lead a show. They can lead it by confessional, by performance, by gameplay, whatever. Then you have your supporting characters. That's where like you have your Jays, your Kylans, like I would say like your Melissas and Big T's, like even though they could like teeter totter, because as we saw here, they are carrying the show by being the underdogs, the people that are just consistently on the outs, and they're both great and confessional.
No, you're absolutely right. And so I did have this in my notes for episode 9, but because you kind of but I would say, but because you kind of have it here, I have a question for you. Is doing a little bit of revisionist history in Ride or Dies, did we overrate Olivia and Horacio because they kept winning? And do you think that we maybe put them up higher on a pedestal than what they should be when it comes to like these potential great players? Because I think there's a chance that a little overrating happened, because you see them come back and trying to more stand on their own 2 feet, and it's not coming off nearly as clean as it did their rookie season.
Well, so I would say more so for Horacio than Olivia. Like Olivia's been fine. Like she's never been in danger. Everyone knows that she's a top player and doing nothing about it. And like she's, I think Olivia was properly rated. Horacio, I think, was properly rated in terms of competitiveness, but we like overshadowed his like how much he was using other people, or specifically Olivia, as a crutch for like the other factors of the game, which are just as important as a daily and an elimination. So I think that way they were like slightly overhyped. I don't think it was like astronomical. I think like what we saw were 2 very strong, high potential rookies in Ride or Dies, and now this is a season where there's no real vets there to help continue their journey. So it's just them immediately being, well, I'm a vet now.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it was something I just want to keep an eye on, especially because I'm not going to take away from Ride or Dies. They had a great season, but it's just kind of when you go back and you look at some of it in chunks, it's like, all right, well, 2 of their wins in elimination anyway was where the entire house was so against the other team. Like the first one was Turbo, and I can't even remember what his partner's name was. And then the other of all people was against Jay and Michelle. So I think that you can kind of put a little dings on it. And not that I want to take away from it. It's just more of noticing it is I want to see how the rest of the season plays out to say, okay, can they more live up to that hype and potential that we had going off of last season? Or is it a little bit diminishing each time they come back?
Well, I expect both of them to get close, if not get into the final. But in terms of positioning in the game, Olivia's still in a great spot. Whereas we see that Horacio is already being looked at by the guys that like originally he was coming in with, and they're all like, nah, he does sort of his own thing. He's not reliable. We're going to go after him now.
Yeah, and then let's see. Last thing I have before the club is just I have Asaf says the next target should be Kyland. And I'm sure he said something else stupid here too, because I hate him more and more every time he opens his mouth. And boy, does it keep getting worse and worse. Whew. Especially as these next two episodes come.
I wonder if when he sees Kyland, he sees a banana because he constantly has his name down his throat. Where's the lie? Where's the lie? Like Asaf's gameplay is so fucking dumb specifically for him. Because sure, he's in the Fantastic Four, but we haven't heard about the Fantastic Four since the one episode in episode 3, maybe 4. I don't
Something
care.
Like that, yeah.
It's irrelevant. Everyone is talking not about Asaf. They're talking about the 3 ride or die girls. You know, Montchal isn't just ride or dies, but whatever. And Jay. They're like, those are your 4 people. Nerys, Olivia, Montchal, Jay. They're the ones controlling the game. You can question how much Jay's actually controlling it based off a confessional in episode 9, which we'll get to. But Asaf's gameplay, while good for what he wants to do for this lone season, he's obviously someone who's trying to play for the meal ticket of consistently getting called back. And maybe he gets in one more callback. But he can never play this game again. Like this specific game that he's playing right now where he's like, nobody's attached to me. Nobody knows that me and Jay are a secret duo that do stupid rap songs together that aren't good. Like you're exposed. You're exposed right now. And I don't think he's a player that can actually adapt to a new season with veterans in there and them all knowing like, oh, well, he's just a snake. Which I do want to say before we do anything else here. All the people in the cesspool of social media, because I use Snake for Asaf, and Asaf is Jewish. I'm a Jewish man as well. The amount of Jewish hate, like just because you didn't like Asaf, you decide to show your anti-Semitism. And if you didn't like Kyland, you start hammering the R word out there. Deactivate your account. Go touch grass. Read a book. Like, do something with your life. Because being a hateful bitch ain't it. That's all I wanted to say.
Well said. And you know what? For as much as there is bashing of Asaf, I'm going to give him a sliver line of a little bit of a compliment here. Because this goes back to probably more Survivor talk than it has the challenge, but I think it also relates to the past few seasons. The challenge is, I've said it a few times, is so many of these new characters on both shows the past few seasons is there's been a lot of bland vanilla to them. As I was like, make me at least remember you're there. Make me feel something. It doesn't have to be that I love you because I'm rooting for you, but make me feel some sort of way about you. And Asaf, you done it. It isn't because I like you and I hope you do well. I can't stand you, but you made me feel something. So I'll give a little, golf clap for that at least.
But I can't even give him that credit because I don't think that's his intention.
Oh, it's not. It's definitely not.
I think he thought he was going to be beloved. Like, this is his hero moments that go against Kyland, the villain. And all these bottom feeders are the villains. He's the hero of the story. And then he's going to talk a bunch of shit on social media, trying to get clout and potential rivals for new seasons in Melissa and in Devin. And I'm like, they know better to attach a anchor to one of their golden children. So, like, good luck there.
Yeah, and I know I believe it was on the last podcast, you had brought it up. It was some of his tweets where he was claiming, like, oh, Melicia's just creating drama and doing all this for clout. And it's just like, dude, like
It's him.
that.
Pick up the
So
mirror.
hypocritical.
Pick up the mirror, buddy. It's you.
Yeah.
It's you.
It's so bad. All right.
But it's so good at the same time. It's so good. I love having... It's just like in Survivor with Drew. Like, I love having someone in here that I can just complain about in terms of the game and just being like, okay, well, he's a heel. Now I need to see him get pounded into the sand by a bigger bully in CT.
That would be great. So from this point, we go out to the club, and as much as I have bashed Emmanuel, the past few episodes, I will give him credit here. As he approaches Kylan, he says that, he wants to have a truce with him to his face, but you do hear him in confessional saying that, no, he is coming after him. But it's actually smart gameplay to go up to Kylan and say, hey, let's squash it and get on the same page.
You know what's also smart gameplay? If you go into the immediate next episode and don't very first move sabotage that person.
That's completely fair. Yep.
Maybe be a little more subtle there, just a little bit.
Well, I didn't go back and correct some of my notes, so this was just all in live.
No, but in real time, great move, because you do have Kylan who's like, he wants to think like a strategist. Like, that's his brain, how his brain works, and he's just like, no, this makes sense. It's the whole nobody would expect us to do the work together type of thing. And everyone covets that. Anyone who plays any type of game loves to have that connection where you can go, yeah, me and you can run the table. And nobody will ever suspect it.
No, nobody would ever know. Like I said, just giving him a little bit of credit for that.
For sure. He does a great job at playing the middle. That was his intention coming into this game. And outside going down one time, he's been pretty good at it.
Yeah, give him all the credit in the world.
And
for that.
that's not the only thing he plays the middle of.
No, we will have more of that in 20 minutes or so. And so this is where things really start to heat up at the bar, because Melissa, I'm sure at this point, has had some drinks going, and she's more on this rampage of what the hell happened in this vote. I need to figure out what happened. So first, pulls Berna aside, and this is just kind of her appetizer of throwing out lies and deception to see what could happen. And I'll give it to you, Melissa. It's fucking entertaining as hell.
I love it. I love Melissa. I'm going to miss every episode knowing guaranteed that she was getting into a fight at the bar. I'm going to miss that so much. But then, like, Berna pulls Mariah in, and Mariah's just like, I don't want to do this conversation again. And then it deflects onto Manuel and Raven. And I think Raven's partially right, where, like, Melissa's just so frustrated that she has to, like, put her sole, like, focus of just anger at something. And for this specific time, she is choosing Raven. But, like, Raven at the same time was, like, an active person of saying, like, I want Melissa to go in. She wants these people who don't have the numbers. Like, I'm just playing the game. You don't have the numbers. I'm in something that has numbers. But I wanted her to take that step back in confessional, be like, but wait, do I actually? Because every single round of confessionals for each round, I'm like, I'm just glad I won, because I hate having my name out there. I was already voted in once. Like, if you've been voted in once, how good's that alliance in the numbers for you? It ain't. Oh no, Dan, are you frozen? Oh God. No wonder he was just letting me talk. Oh man. Oh man. Well, I'll just keep talking then. So, where was I? That's where we get the drink thrown at at Raven's face, and not just Raven's face. It hit a soft shirt, one of his favorite shirts. Which, like, oh no, you got some alcohol in your shirt. Just rub it on. Just put it in the wash. It'll be fine. Let it dry, clean in the air. Wait, I don't give a shit. But we have all that fighting, and it just really highlights how good of a character Melissa is. Because just like she is putting these 2 episodes on her back. But what I like about it is we do see the pushback from Raven. And while Raven, I don't think is correct, she's showing to be a character that can stand on her own 2 feet and doesn't just need to be a supporting character in a show. So I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing from Raven. Do I agree with everything she's doing? No, absolutely not. I wish she would see the bigger picture in the real time. But I get it. She's playing a game. She is doing what she feels she needs to do in order to stay within whatever structure she believes in that's keeping her safe, and hoping that continues to drive and keep her safe. Dan, it will shortly be back, and he's back.
Sorry about that, everyone. I don't know what happened, but my Wi-Fi just decided to shit the bed.
So I'll to catch you up, I should talk about the drink being thrown in Raven's face out of frustration. I talked about how Raven is a character that can stand on her own 2 feet. While I may not agree with her choices in these episodes, I understand it from the position that she's in the real time of just wanting to have something that will truly stick and hoping that just works out for her.
I completely agree with that. I can't agree with what Melissa did here, but I can't lie. I loved it. I fucking loved it. It gave me.
I only agree with
flashbacks
it in terms of television.
Yes, it's because it's a television moment, and then you have people, being like, "Oh, why do people like Melissa? You can't love that. What she did was assault." I was like, "Assault? Really?" Like, sure, by definitional terms, like, you could find some way that is an assault. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong there. But come on, we've seen assault on The Challenge before. This wasn't it. And for creating the drama and everything that she's doing, like I said, not going to make any type of excuse for her whatsoever. But it's also, her back has been pushed up against the wall this entire time. I get it. Don't condone it, but I get it.
You know what? Playing stupid games win stupid prizes, as the saying goes. Y'all play in their face. She has the right to throw a drink in yours.
And if
or on a soft shirt.
Yeah, well, of course, on his Rosh dress for less cert. And you will say that I think Raven is a little bit lucky, because I did see someone had kind of slowed it down, and after it happened, not only does Raven throw it back, which not going to fault her for that, because that's a reaction. I mean, what else do you really do? It's easy to just say, "Oh, play it cool, like you're above it." Now, someone just threw a drink at you, but she does kind of go, and she's like trying to hit Melissa with her glass. Then it's just like, we're really lucky for everyone that did not connect.
Yeah, because Fessy and Josh, or like Fessy got thrown out for throwing like a water bottle at Josh. Yeah. So like, she'd been gone. But we're I think from there we're back from the club.
Yeah, the only thing that I will say that was interesting, and it's where you kind of show that Melissa and Big T were just on the wrong side of the numbers with this U.S. alliance coming in, is that after all this happens, more people are consoling Melissa than they are Raven. And I think it's shown that people do like Melissa. She just wasn't in their plans this season.
And again, another moment where, yes, they're drunk, but I'm like, look at who's consoling who. Why are the people that are actively targeting her consoling her over you? Because you have the numbers. You're in the numbers. The numbers should be coming to you.
You would
But they
think.
ain't.
And so it's at this time as Big T, she knows she's going to be the house vote because of her connection with Melissa. But that doesn't mean that she isn't going to try. She said she can't politic. So she's like, why not break out the checkbook, some of the cash, and I'm going to start throwing it out to Ed.
Which I love Ed. I love Ed. He's just a supporting role, just a number in the cog of the machine. But I love him just be like, I love Big T. I love a good bribery. But I'm still gonna vote her. We all know what's happening.
It makes it better when you hear that, according to others, it wasn't even her money. It was Horacio's that that she was giving to Ed to try to pay him off with. Which I think at this point you're showing kind of this Melissa and Big T that they are carrying the show to this point, because I'd have to think, maybe I'm wrong, maybe she thought this was going to do something, but I look at it as more as, hey, I know things may not go my way much longer. Let's make a TV moment. And she did it. And it's something
Absolutely.
that I don't think outside of her, Melissa, I don't know if anyone else on the cast has that thought of let's make a TV moment, because after all, we are filming a fucking TV show.
Yeah, no, they're all in. Let's do the big alliance that marches along to the end, with the really bad ratings. Yay!
But so we have that. This gets us to nominations. It's pretty anticlimactic. I mean, Big T goes unanimously,
Well,
but we do have. Sorry, go for it. There were a few things, but go for it. You have something
my
that you want to say.
boy Kyle, because everyone's talking after. Everyone talking after about him joining the Big T vote, which makes 100% sense out of what he wants. He wants Melissa to stay. So he is going to vote Big T and hope that Big T's name gets pulled, because she's more likely, that at least increases in odds of someone not Melissa that can go in that could also lose. And maybe that protects Melissa by being, now Melissa's out on an island. But I love him clapping back at all these people who just hide behind the phrase of, well, the majority just wanted to do it. It was just what the House wanted. He's like, no, sure, it's the safer move. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a cowardly move. And people take offense to that. But, well, what's not cowardly? It's like, well, standing in what you believe in. It doesn't mean you have to win the vote, but say what you want to have happen. Don't just hide behind the fact that you just want to roll with the numbers, roll with the House. And everyone's arguments against it is just serving his point. They're like, well, sometimes it's just the House. What if I don't have a preference? I'm like, then you're just going with the House and you are a coward because you don't have a thought for yourself, is what Kylan wanted to say.
Oh, absolutely. It's, this is where I've probably haven't been the biggest Kylan fan up to this point in the season. Coming into these 2 episodes, starting to turn a little bit. I'm rooting for him now more.
We started this season being like, we'll make jokes about Kylan, we'll make jokes about James, and now I'm like, God damn it, Kylan and James are our only hope of anything happening.
They really are. Like we said, Big T, she's voted in unanimous. Yeah, why can I not say that word today? Unanimously. And it's just something that she's so great about it, is I just love her that she takes everything so gracious and she says, hey, this is just a game. I don't take it personal. And I think it just says a lot about who she is in regards to all the bullshit she's put up with this season, of continually being thrown down there over and over again.
Something tells me she'll take it personal in future seasons.
Oh, 100%. So this gets us to the elimination. Rain is coming down. It's time to bring out the champ, because if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And so they bring out Casey. And I think it was earlier in my notes. I skipped over it. I think it was my favorite. I'm going to call it foreshadowing. Maybe it wasn't, but I found it funny when I went back and looked at it. Was when we came back to the challenge. It was after a commercial or something. And you get that always, which is, I call it the standard Casey confessional of being like, all right, reset us, tell us what we're doing on this challenge and everything. They gave it to Big T, just foreshadowing that Big T is going to have to go against Casey.
And she does, and it now looks like they did flip the first and third. I'm still of the belief that the mace is in the middle, but I think they did switch the House vote and daily vote, so she does get picked. But a big driving point that we hear in this episode and a little bit in the next episode with Melissa and Big T is about the one benefit they have over others is they have more seasons. And because they have more seasons, they have more connections with people. And if that mace were to pull up, there's a higher chance that neither of them will get picked. And you even see when Casey draws Big T, like, she's upset about it because she doesn't want to send Big T home. She will, but she doesn't want to do it.
No, it's something where everyone was so excited, and I think everyone standing up watching felt like they were so safe with the, oh, Casey, like, we have nothing to worry about. But you see it come out. I mean, she pulls Big T, and she kind of goes like, damn it, this is the one person I didn't want to go against in the house.
And let's talk about something even more fun, is we go into confessional, and everyone's like, no, like, Casey loves Big T, and not only that, she taught Big T how to pole wrestle.
Yeah. Which was, so do you think here that, because I'm a little bit conflicted, do you, I don't want to take anything away from Big T in this elimination or this season. Do you think it was really that close? Or, yeah, I think looking at round 3 and how quickly it looked like she dominated, it almost seemed like, all right, did Casey drag this out and kind of split rounds 1 and 2 to kind of help prop Big T up a little bit, give her a little bit more confidence? But then when you saw it was all or nothing on the line, round 3, Casey dominated.
So Casey was always going to win this one, but I think it's discrediting Big T too much by saying like, oh, Casey 100% just threw it. Because I think part of it also was Casey saying like it was part of like her strategy for the second one was like, even though like her grip was getting a little tight, she's like, just let Big T like use all this energy. And then if you get into round 3, Big T's gonna be gassed, and then I can just be speed and just rip early on, like not actually get into grappling. But it was a good fight. I leave this feeling like so much more respect for Big T than I did originally. And I already respected Big T. But like no one truly like respected the competitive upside of Big T. And I think she is showing over time. She is learning. She is adapting. She is showing that she can go down and win in the sand. If she just increases like her endurance, because like that whole thing of like, oh, have Big T run 2 miles, you're fine. Like if she increases her running ability, like I agree with Casey. I can see upside of a Big T champion. Maybe that's part of rose-colored glasses and me loving the idea of Big T being a challenge champ. But I don't know. I like this. I liked Casey's appearance here. I feel like in just these 10 minutes, we got more character out of Casey in her confessionals and more of like what she's about, like this competitive edge than we did during the season. And I think this also goes back to World Championships. When Casey's down in elimination,
it's a turning point.
We truly get to see more of her personality come out. Because, like, I follow her on her Instagram. Like, she has personality. It's the same as how I say, like, Mariah has personality. Like, Mariah is funny. Mariah has, like, these other things. But they, for, like, a season and a half, they just show nothing. Like, we're starting to see more from Mariah. But it's not even because of her. It's, semi because of her. But it's because of Bananas. And I'm like, I want to see these people stand on their own 2 feet, and I'm like, you're starting to see it more. Like, I'm excited to see Casey come back again in the future, but also in a world where maybe she has more adversity and has to fight her way, because that's an exciting character.
Agreed. And, you know, just going back to it, you said that maybe you would have been looking at Big T with these rose-colored glasses. You're not the only one. It's most everyone watching, and it certainly is TJ. I think this is one of the greatest send-offs on an elimination since maybe like how he felt so strongly about like early Cara Maria when she kept getting, thrown in season after season. The props that he gives her and says, I do want to see you become a champion someday. That's just, it isn't, we hope to see you in the future. You can tell how big of a fan of Big TJ is, which is something that if TJ puts a stamp of approval on something, it's
And
hard
this
to
is
discredit
where,
that.
once again, the people still in this game need to also see how TJ's reacting to these people that are going home. Because that's what you want. You don't want you fought hard. I hope to see you in the future. Like, that's fine. But you get these type of, like, specific shout-outs going in that are different than the mold. Then you're like, oh, she's a mainstay. And all you people want to be mainstays, but all you acting like wallflowers,
Mm-hmm.
you ain't gonna get that type of response.
Yeah, and then the last thing that I'll add from episode 8 was, according to social media and everything else, what we did see is that Casey did split the money with Big T.
Yes.
Took that 10. I don't know if it was split evenly 5-5 or how it was, but I think it does just go more to show who Casey is as a person, and kind of what you're saying is it's these moments from this elimination and world championships. I think we got more from Casey than her first 3-4 seasons combined has been her last mini appearance and her last full one. And it's been like, if this is what you're telling me we're getting from Casey, I'm saying I'm excited to see her come back, not just she's
and
dead.
also Nani stay home.
Yeah, Nani doesn't need to be there. Just
Like,
Casey.
we don't need both of them there at the same time. I love Nani, but we don't need both of them there at the same time. It allows you both to be really your full character when you're not together. So let's go to episode 9.
Yeah, so this will take us to episode 9, a banana split.
5 bananas.
All right, we're just fully.
Can't grow those muscles without 5 bananas.
Don't worry, Aesop, you're not out of the line of fire quite yet. We start out, Olivia's saying that the UK alliance is fading away by people and morale. Yeah, there's no one that's really left.
Yeah, there's 2. There's 2 people. Of course it's faded. Of course it's gone.
Yeah, and this is where we start to get the overall kind of, I guess, main storyline for this episode. Is it does make sense as the episode goes on and we get more context, but going into it and Melissa believing that she had Aesop as a number, I was like, ooh, I don't know where you're getting that one from.
Right. At first, her shouting him out made no sense, but then they immediately followed up with, like, the actual reason is they brought in night 1 over both being parents. And that is a bond that we see consistently in reality shows. And I don't care what Aesop backtracks on. No, that when you make a bond as being parents with children and what you're fighting for, like, it's not just well, if I hear your name, I'll let you know. Like, no, you're helping each other. When there's a chance to save the person, you do it, type of thing.
Yeah, so we'll touch a lot more on that as things happen the rest of this episode. Other things that we have to note is this is where the first time that Mariah kind of vocalizes how she's more, feeling closer with James and Zara and some of the other people that you've really, for the first time, it's through Olivia's voice of really questioning her choices and what she's doing here, not only in the game, but we see more of her confessionals about, what are you doing with the whole James Banana situation as well.
Right. And I like that. I like seeing more from Mariah because these people are playing games. Like, they are playing and doing other things. They're not just sitting there doing nothing, waiting for the challenge, gets up, sits back down. Okay, it's time to vote. Okay, I'm not in elimination, moving on. Like, they're having conversations, they're building new connections. And I like seeing someone like Mariah who isn't fully corrupted by the show. Where like she came in and she was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be with my ride or die girls. Like that's the plan." But she's also willing, and because of how she lives her life, she's just like, if other stuff comes along and like I like this path, like I'm not gonna just isolate it. It's gonna be a new opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Maybe just don't say it to Olivia.
no, Olivia, because you can definitely tell that those two aren't friends anymore. And I think there's a lot of people that Olivia went in with as friends that I don't think she has anymore. And
But
I really hope you do
one,
see it play out throughout the season of why and not it happened because of some dumb reason off the show.
right. And like to Olivia's benefit though, like she does clearly have ins with the veteran alumni.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's everywhere with all these Challenge Mania events, and like she's good with Banana. She's good with a lot of these vets. Like she's still good with Montchal, obviously. So I like the fact that there's like people that still like each other, but there's people that are definitely separated. And I want to see those type of dynamics in the future, and not just them like being like, "Oh yeah, no, we'll all work together again. It's fine."
And then before we get to the challenge, the other thing that we have is this is the first time that son of a bitch, we see more Colleen, and this is her kind of connecting with Emmanuel, and you can see that she's really starting to feel for something. And it's just perfect that you have all that, and then it goes to the scene of all the girls where Melissa pretty much says, "Yeah, Emmanuel's trying to fuck anything that moves."
Yep, and I don't know what it is about Emmanuel. I don't get it.
They think he's Jordan. They get confused. I don't know.
I don't know. It's just weird because like so we know Colleen, we know Olivia's been at least some cuddling up in there, some dancing
And
later on. Raven as well. And he has a significant other back at home. And hey, I'm not gonna knock on him for cheating on spouse because like that's literally reality TV 101 at this point is you cheat on people. It makes sense for the person who comes in to do the elimination from the champs side, which we'll get to. Not with Jordan, obviously, because they both made it clear it wasn't cheating. But
of course not.
No, Derrick Henry, where are you, man?
You called him out before me. I was going to let it
go
after last episode.
I was like, oh, I'm beating you. I'm beating it to it.
Well, maybe you got in my head a little bit after last episode. I was like, do I bring up Derrick Henry that much? Like maybe I need to reevaluate some stuff.
You do.
It's his popcorn muscles. It's just I'm infatuated. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah,
it's
popcorn muscles.
How he can be built so big and look like you think, all right, that's what you want a challenger to look like. And then he actually goes and competes, and you're just like, I'm not saying that I would do better. I just feel like I could do about the same. And looking at the two of us, that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah, absolutely. Can we talk about this daily and how they obviously thought every single elimination would lead to someone going home? And so this was definitely planned to only have duos, but because they fucked up, or Kaz, I guess, fucked up and didn't eliminate Big T the first time, that they give a team of 3, and they were obviously going to win.
They had such a benefit.
No, but it's harder for 3 people to put a hook on a puzzle piece. Maybe it's just because you guys weren't thinking. As Colleen says, they are the team of brains. Nope. Wait, I am wrong. They're fast. They do not have brains. That was, you know what? I became a Colleen fan right there with that confessional.
We've seen a lot more Colleen, and now I won't make the same joke of I keep forgetting she's on the season. She has done enough for these past 2 episodes that is she a favorite, or am I rooting for her? No, not really. I'm still pretty indifferent, but I at least remember she's there now because she's getting more screen time. So good for you, Colleen. But yeah, what is this? This is called Doom Sticks.
Yes.
And
Yeah, there was like
so,
3 parts. So
yeah.
Doomsticks.
So
Go ahead.
I was gonna say
I'm so
it's
used to it.
3. Can't turn it off. It's 3 mini challenges all in one. It's played in pairs, minus that team of 3, like you mentioned. Let's see. As far as pairs, we have Emmanuel and Berna, James and Melissa, Ed and Colleen, Kylan and Michelle, Jay and Mariah, Horacio and Nerys, Corey and Olivia, and then Asaf, Zara, and Raven. And round 1 is called Speed Sticks. Speed Sticks,
Yes.
you have a rack of 5 sticks that's at the end, and it's essentially just a relay race that you have to run down and and place your sticks at the end. But you do have on the way back, you can sabotage other teams and bring one of their sticks back with them. Losing team is eliminated. Whoever wins the round can cut 2 more teams. And yeah, I don't have
And
much to say
nobody
about
thinks of
Speed
the
Sticks.
wiser. Again, a daily that serves the purpose of, are you in the majority? Are you actually in a good spot? And for a lot of these people, the answer should be no. Like when Colleen gets eliminated in the first round, like picked to be eliminated, she leaves it going, well, there's so many people left that I'm aligned with. So like I'm good with all these people, so I shouldn't be in trouble. Like, relay what you just said. You're smart. Like you're a smart girl. Like
at least
has
she
the
starts to
like,
piece some stuff together, which is more than you can say for half of this other US alliance that is just like, what? Huh? Oh, sweet. Look at that.
we're all going to the final together.
It's going to be great.
We're gonna be playing for $50,000, but we'll all be there together.
So what happens is Asaf, Zara, and Raven win round 1. No shocker. And Kylan and Michelle, they are eliminated for losing. And we even see Michelle says that she wants Kylan to be vulnerable. And this is the first little glimpse here. And then we keep getting it throughout this challenge, is they are so convinced this is going to be a guy's day. That's kind of
Asaf's
their
already
only
like,
mindset.
I'm gonna be putting in Horacio. Emmanuel saying the same thing, like Kylan will be an easy house vote. We need to get both of them out of here. But it's like they're not even saying it in terms of like they're a threat to win at the end if they get to the challenge. It's just like they're just at the bottom. They're at the bottom. They think for themselves. So because of that, they're dangerous. So I'm like, well, yeah. As I say in this podcast all the time, rewind that. Say it again to yourself about like 20 times. And then realize why they're right.
And then, yeah, I don't know, it is what it is at this point, I guess. But then the other two, I guess the 2 that you can eliminate is, you mentioned Colleen and Ed, and the other is James and Melissa, which pretty much just throws her right into elimination. But
She goes to us off, and it's like, remember, like, we have our parents' deal. Like, I wouldn't have thrown you in if you don't. Please give me the same courtesy. And so I was like, yep.
Yep. And so we go to round 2, or is what we'll refer to it as the Matt Bischoff Memorial Challenge. It is called Power Sticks, just off the name alone. Pull the sled across the course. There are heavy sticks at the end. You have 5 of them. You're pulling them back and forth. First team to cross the finish line wins. And
well, as we all know, Jay was throwing. He didn't want to win anything. Didn't want to have to show any cards ever. Mariah wanted to win, but you can only do so much as one person during the challenge, so they didn't even complete their out. The 3
and
win
I think
again, right?
I think part of it with Jay throwing it, it's not only that he knows that he's in a good spot. I still think that he has some emotional damage from Ride or Dies, where they won twice, and he finally realized, like, ooh, sometimes it's not always beneficial to win these challenges.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so they eliminate everyone but Emmanuel and Berna. And the big thing with Berna is she pulled her groin before the challenge. So now they're in the last step, which is creating a puzzle. but you have to run back and forth with a stick and pick them up with a hook that's on the stick.
Yep, pickup sticks, and it's just that 3D puzzle cube that we've seen on most reality shows at this point. And
yep,
yeah,
and the 3 win,
shocking.
But everyone's thinking this is gonna be a guy's day. They're like, okay, no big deal.
Hang on, they win, and what does Asaf do? Starts doing fucking backflips.
Brother, act like you've been there. Act like you've been there before.
Well, this is his first win. He's happy about it. And we will give a low-key shout-out to no one really wants to acknowledge, we have a little bit, but outside the general public and certainly on the show, one of the strongest competitors in the house.
Raven.
Raven. Now the odds were obviously stacked in their favor, especially with that pairing in some of the early rounds where they had a lot of speed. But the team that Raven's on keeps winning.
She's a competitor. It's what we all thought she was going to be in the very first season when she was cast. Like, this is what we were expecting. So I'm glad to see it like coming out. Now, if she could use these power positions to do real moves, but she's still wrapped around wanting to get Melissa out. So she's standing firm on it. And she's like almost like cornering Zara into like, because Zara's like, I don't want to say Melissa's name again. Like, I don't want to do it. And she's like, well, you're obviously only going to be picking, this is a numbers game, Zaza. So do you want to pick all of us, the rest of the cast? Or do you want to pick Melissa? And Zara's issue with this game for me is that she doesn't have a backbone.
Wishy-washy?
She's very much, I'll just go with the majority. I will take the easy way out. I will put other people's wants over my own. Because you hear her saying like, oh, I'm starting to be in trouble in this game. But she keeps allowing everyone else to dictate the moves. Because if she said no, and she was like, I'm planning firm, I'm not saying Melissa, that forces Asaf's hand of saying Melissa's name actively instead of just going, I'll just do what the majority wants. I'm going to hide behind Raven. Fucking pussy.
Which, at that point, I mean, we saw how it was. Like, Asaf says his name. And so, not that, I guess I am kind of going to defend the move here a little bit. And it's simply because we know that regardless, Melissa, like if she isn't here, she's going to be the house vote. And right. I think if you're the three of them and you're just looking it through, why give the house an out where we can just do it and you can say, hey, this is what everyone else wanted. And I think it potentially puts a spotlight on everyone else saying, okay, the easy move isn't there. So rather than the three of us showing our cards of what we want to have happen, we're going to make everyone else in the cast show their cards as they finally decide they need to turn on someone.
Mm-hmm. Because like Zara wanted to do Colleen because her and Colleen didn't have any relationship, which tracks with what Colleen's been saying of like she has better relationships with the guys than with the girls. But ultimately they choose Melissa again. And my boy Kylan just goes like, because Asaf's trying to do apologies like, I feel bad. He's like, no, who's really going to feel bad is your wife. Because you basically pledged on her that you would keep each other safe as parents. And Asaf, being the baby back bitch that he is, instead of completely ignores the being married. Like, what did you say about my mom? What did you say about my mom? What did you say about my mom? Why? Why did you say that about my mom? I'll fuck you up. I'm like, God damn it, man. Talk about being a freaking coward and not even taking what Kylan said to task and like backing up that argument. Instead, you make believe that he said something about your mom. And I'm like, brother, stand on your own 2 feet. Don't get so, because if you're in the argument and you're the one going like that and like being like, oh, I never said these things, blah, 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 you're in the wrong. You're proving Kylan right because Kylan never backs off. He's like, I'm just saying what you said.
Yeah.
You said you wouldn't go after her because you are both parents. So what does that say about you and how much you even respect that. I'm
I
like, damn,
thought
Kylan, pop off.
I thought it was brilliant for Kylan. As far as I'm concerned, we're seeing a lot of growth just in the season of like, okay, like he hasn't gone up to a main character yet for me, but it's just like you're growing up to at least a solid supporting role and you keep going against the grain. Like you have some staying power and some on the rise stock to watch. So
Well, you
I'm all
want to
for it.
know a big factor for that, or a big factor that I think production agrees with us?
What's that?
Who made the poster between those two?
Oh, you're right.
Was it Kylan? Or was it Asaf? Because I'm pretty sure I remember seeing Kylan there.
Asaf was not there.
I don't know what that
That's a
says,
very
but
good
it said
point. No.
something. It says
No,
something.
that's a very good point. I got nothing more to add to that. That's good.
You don't want to go with a war with me. I'll hit low.
So from here is, I don't know where I'm going with my notes. This is where I had my note about Michelle and Jay being like, I hope you two go far this season because I'm a little bit concerned about you guys coming back. And this is kind of where we see the first time that Colleen's name is really being thrown out there. And we can pretty much from there go straight to the club where this is where it's starting to get back to Colleen, where she's finding out that her name is being thrown out there. And she seems shocked because she's like, I didn't do anything. But I think that's, a real lesson here. Yeah, that's a real problem is that if you're not actively showing who you're with, how are they supposed to just assume because you're voting the same way that the rest of the house does?
Right. So, like, I get her gameplay from, like, if you isolate a season in a box and you just, like, it's not even a challenge, any game, and you just put people on the cast, like, she's doing what most people tell people, like, this is what you need to do in order to play well. Like, you stay low, you're under the radar, you'll also become under the radar in the episodes, but that's a separate thing. And you prove your loyalty to the people you want to work with through your votes. And then that's all you do until a certain point in the game where you can start ramping up. The issue is for her is both times now she's been hiding behind that, where Ryder died, you can make a case she never really had a chance. Like they were constantly getting thrown in because they were just the rookies. But she wanted to be able to hide long enough to then like steadily rise, whereas now she's like, I'm forced to come out and make these moves just because I'm in danger. And you hear from Corey himself when it gets to the vote, it's like, why is it now? Also, like it's just because you're the name now that you're deciding to come up and say like these big moves need to happen. It didn't happen organically. And that's like the issue of that style of gameplay when it's your turn to be the one on the hot seat.
It's such a shame because when you see these small moments from Colleen, I
There's
see
potential.
glimpses. Yeah, there's so much potential. I mean, still, I think it definitely her funniest moments didn't make air was on Ride or Dies, which was when Devin was demanding an apology letter. And so she wrote him one, but wrote it in German. Like, that's phenomenal. Like, bring more of that, Colleen. Like, that's amazing. That's what we want to see.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And like it's like this episode was made to be like this perfect storm where she was playing this great under the radar game until it wasn't. And also at the same time, she was developing these feelings for someone that she knew had a significant other. But like she was sort of conflicted of like she's not the one with a significant other. It's the same thing with James. Like, it's like I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not the one in the relationship, but I'm vibing with this person right now. And they are giving it back. And then finding out that, like, this is where she truly sees that he's doing stuff with Olivia and he's doing stuff with Raven. And it's just, like, hitting her all at once. I'm sort of ignoring the Melissa Asaf argument because, like, it sort of is what it is. I've dunked on Asaf enough this episode.
At this point, yeah, we kind of get it. The other thing is that I have here is a little bit more on Mariah. Is I actually think that James is, like you said, James is growing on me, especially from episode 1. And I still isn't just like, oh, we need another season of James, but it's someone that I see more potential in. And he actually gives out really good advice saying, hey, Mariah, you can't trust everyone in your alliance. And he's absolutely right, because in Mariah's head, she thinks that Michelle's her number one girl. And it's just like, ooh, okay, like you're kind of being fooled a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the flip side, you have Olivia, who's throwing out there saying that she's sacrificing her entire game for James. And it's just like, I don't know if that's entirely true. Maybe it is.
It seems like Olivia's big thing was there must have been like an agreement between the ride or die girls coming in. But we know there was, but we don't know like the specifics. And I think there must have been like an agreement that like they were going to look out for each other and ensure they do as a collective whatever gives at a minimum of one of them the best chance to be declared the champion of the season. Without knowing the full format or anything, that must have been the goal. And by her straying away and sort of doing her own thing with James goes against that like collective group. Which for someone like Olivia, that collective group benefits her more than it does other people within that group. So I can sort of see that side of it from Olivia being like, Mariah's blowing up her entire game, but in reality, in her mind, she's like, no, like this impacts my game because she's deciding to go off and do her own thing when she agreed to be part of this collective.
And to be a pawn.
Yeah, essentially. But like, Mariah's no slouch. Like we saw her compete with Fessy on like the final dailies.
Yeah, that mini
and
final
like
where they killed.
She showed out with Fessy or Fessel. I need to stop using Fessy. But I love this because now we're starting to get more fleshed out character from Mariah because now she's the one who's going to be out there on that island a little bit. Like she's still trying to play that middle spot. But you're now starting to see people being like, well, why is Mariah getting the pass? When Corey did the same thing, we put him over to Coles. We made him go down into the sand. But when Mariah does it, there's all these excuses from the other girls. And this is where people are starting to connect that dots of like the ride or die girls are the ones in control. The ride or die girls and Jay. But like, how much control does Jay truly have? Because like the rest of it's going into deliberation is just a lot of back and forth with the same thing of like, we need to put in Mariah as a shot against the ride or die girls. We're not going to be able to do the other ones, but we could potentially do Mariah. And a lot of people are like, maybe, but is it time? Because a big thing with Michelle is, while maybe Mariah's not her like number one, she is someone that she's like very actively being like, I will wait until like the very bitter end to make this move against Mariah if I have to.
And this is jumping ahead a little bit, but I'm assuming this is the Jay confessional that you mentioned earlier about Mariah's playing the it's because I have is Mariah's playing the most middle ground game ever, which I was like, which is hilarious from someone who refers to himself as the Eye of the Storm.
Boom. It's like, that's my issue. It's like, you have these people playing these big middle games that you're all complaining about these other people who are doing what you are doing. And that's why you're mad at them. You're mad that they have other people that are buying into them more than those people are buying into you. Like, that's the issue there. That's why Jay and Asaf have like their panties in a bunch over Mariah sort of getting to do what she wants. And then you get to the vote and like nothing goes, like it's all about Colleen. Colleen gets a majority of the votes. There's a Nerys votes for Berna because she just doesn't like Berna. And there's one other vote. Emmanuel voted Mariah because Mariah voted him, and we know Emmanuel will always hold a grudge on anything that involves someone saying his name. But this is where we get Jay saying, if it was up to me, I would have had Mariah be the vote. But if I had made Mariah the vote, I would have then lost all my power. Which brings the question, if by you wanting to make a move and you get the majority of people to make that move, how is it that you are losing the power unless you never had the power at all?
Yeah, it's clearly it's not the Fantastic Four. I think all the power is with Michelle, Nerys, and Olivia.
Michelle, Nerys, and Liv. And, these people, Asaf, Jay, especially Jay, love Jay. But they like doing these raps, but I just dropped some fucking bars on them this episode. So like I think they need to go home back to their mamas.
I'd much rather listen to music that you put out than Aesop. Just throwing that out there.
No, you don't. No, you don't. We don't need to go down that can of worms.
And, to put a bow on everything, because that kind of everything that was leading up to nominations plus nominations really went over that, was we kind of have the ending between the whole Emmanuel Colleen thing, which the only thing of note is I don't think we need to beat it over the head, but I just have in here is like, never go to Berna for relationship advice, because she comes in.
Oh my God, that was awful.
It was just like, well, it's your fault because you knew he had someone at home. I was like, oof, that's putting the blame.
Berna. Like, I get it, Berna. You're backing up your friend. All friendships, they do it, but like, come on.
Hey, I'm just here that I want to keep pointing out Emmanuel's a fraud. I don't think he's here for, his family and everything. Maybe that's part of it. I think he's there just to hook up.
No, you heard him. I have to get my head back into the game. And like, I hate the fact that I'm like convinced that he's winning. Because when he wins, like, even the stuff on social media will just piss me off even more with him because he's so fucking boring.
Oh no, did you see?
And
go back and look at it. Was something from this week, and I don't know if it was a retweet or something he put out himself. I just saw it briefly. He essentially was referring to women as second-class humans.
Yeah.
Absolute dog shit.
I can't stand him. He was blaming the girls for. He was essentially calling all the girls sluts for wanting to do stuff with him, and then like half-assed going like, "Oh, I should have taken accountability for being a relationship." And then like in parentheses was like, "I shouldn't have even been in by the time I went out there." But I'll take ownership. And they're like, no, you're not. Like, I hope all these girls like remember these stupid ass things he's saying on social media. Because like, bro's a fuck boy. Stop going for the fuck boy, who's also boring. Like, if you want to give this guy who has good endurance just a walk, like a cakewalk to the end, so that he can outrun all of you to get money, okay. But like, he ain't good. He ain't that. Like, I don't know. I feel a type of way about him where I'm like, he's not even there to be like, I get it, this is like your career. But like, Banana still makes things entertaining. CT still makes things entertaining. Kara makes it entertaining. Like, all the legends, all the people who make the show what it is and why you have a chance to have a fucking meal ticket is because they made it entertaining while also playing the game. Be somebody.
And so what I'm about to say next, maybe he isn't the most entertaining, but I am going to say that looking at, my challenge fuckboy list, I think by him not being on the season, Fessel's going up the rankings for me as well, being like, I like him more than Emmanuel, so we got that.
I've been on that Fessel train. Like, I give the fun hate on him, but like, I think he's way better than Emmanuel. Even if Emmanuel wins this season, Emmanuel had to win against a bunch of people who never won. Like, Fessel, while coming in last, still is competing against former champs every single time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is where I get really confused because we had it in before the daily where TJ warns, like, be careful. We have one of the goats coming. God. And now we go as one of the greatest to ever play this game. And checks notes, I'm really confused. But like, I thought Tori was coming out this episode, not Kara. Like, what?
Yeah, or
did I have something wrong here?
Evelyn. I'm like, oh, is Evelyn showing up out of nowhere? Is Evelyn Schramm coming in? Like,
Coral's coming back.
Walnuts, Coral, like Veronica. It's like for the past stuff, not current stuff. Like
Rachel Robinson, even like
Rachel Robinson. Like, you have all these, and you look. I get you're trying to hype up Tori. I get it. I 100% get it. She's won one time, and it was a season designed to give her the win. I'm not even like, I know I say shit. I'm not even a Tori hater. Like, I enjoy Tori, but the thing I don't like is the over necessary hype over people unnecessarily. Like, I can come here and confidently say that Tori is like going to be considered among the best to play the game because the stats don't lie. She consistently makes finals. She was able to win one. She wins elimination. She wins dailies. She has shown in the past few seasons like the things that were not her strong suit before are now things that she's strong with now. Like she wasn't a puzzle person. Her elimination was a puzzle. Like
which I was
this
surprised
episode,
about.
like she showed on USA too. Like she can do those puzzles now. Like she is a very well-rounded performer. But she is not at the point yet where you can start talking GOAT conversation when Cara Maria and Laurel exist.
No, I think I would say that you need at least two. Now, granted, Laurel only has one, but I think the rest of her resume backs that up. But I still think that that's where I even struggle with Laurel being the GOAT is I think, she's a top three, definitely top five, maybe even higher of, greatest women that have ever been on the show as far as stature. But I think you need at least two to really kind of enter that chat. I think it's
maybe she did. Maybe she does have two. We'll never know if All Star Sport never comes out.
I'm just assuming that's just going to be like just some mythological, like where the legend keeps growing, the tapes are lost, and no one really knows what happened. But yeah, because it would be great. How many people have we thrown out here of Laurel, Cara, Rachel Robinson, a lot of these people that we're saying have this better resume than Tori, all on All Stars 4 that we want to see.
And Cam. Like even people who haven't won. Like because like CT was in the GOAT conversation after only having one win. And that win came with a prime West. Like it was designed for them to win, and if not them, Frank and Bananas to win from the guys. Just like how they had that was the season where I think they had Paula and Emily as partners.
Well, that was Paula and Emily were partners, which they had a dominant season, but it wasn't only that, but it was they made it so that nominations it was the opposite gender that picked, so it was the women that picked the guys' eliminations, which meant that the CT and Wes's it was great. Hey, I'm all for it. You have that. We got some great dailies where it's just simply, hey, what we're going to do this, daily? We're going to hang your partner up over there and we're going to see how well the two of you know each other. We had different colored jerseys. I miss it.
Yeah, different colored jerseys, flinging people off of cliffs into the water for not knowing trivia, having to carry honey on yourself and your partner to then push it down into a bucket. What a time to be alive.
It was great. It was good stuff.
But yeah, so we're down at elimination now. Colleen and Melissa are down there, and Tori comes in, and Tori Tori pulls Melissa. But before we go into the actual challenge, she goes over to Mariah and be like, "Oh, girl, what the fuck? He's heartbroken right now." And I'm like, part of me, I'm just like, does Bananas really want all this aired out?
My favorite part of all this was, and everyone was shitting all over, I'm not going to, but just the irony, and I thought it was hilarious that Tori was the messenger on this. It wasn't meant to be a funny moment, but giving everything in her past and her to be delivering that message, I was dying laughing, and I was like, this wasn't meant to be funny, but I thought it was hilarious.
Well, it's the duality of it, because the first part is the cheating on someone and being in close-knit circles. And I'm like, I'm not trying to blow up Tori's spot because it's out there. It's all out there. I'm pretty sure
they had an entire segment on it at the Dirty 30 reunion.
Well, no, not even that. Before she even became a challenger, I'm pretty sure she was dating someone when she went on to Are You the One. So through virtue of that, whoever her match was, she's cheating on the person back home, and then she cheats on her perfect match from Are You the One with his roommate, who is also someone from Are You the One. And then from there, at some point they break off. She gets with Derek Henry. And then on Dirty 30, cheats on him with Jordan, which, fair. But between that and then also the, don't get your mind, to be a challenge champion, you can't get your mind wrapped into showmances and relationships. I'm like, We just
what
saw
she does every
you. We just
season.
saw you cuddling with Sebastian.
Well, here, do you want this to come back around full circle? So Tori's, first season, Are You the One? It wasn't her perfect match. Do you know the first person in the house she was interested in until he kind of strayed
Asaf.
away? Yeah, which is amazing. The fact that it was
Yeah.
Aesop.
And then you have Asaf and Devin having beef, and I saw like the first comment underneath was like, "So there won't ever be an Are You the One 3 alliance." I'm like, no, never.
Yeah. So we have all this, and the challenge, it's called Going Under, and that's where there's 2 giant water tanks, puzzles inside. The answer key is above, attached to a counterweight, and you just need to go underwater and solve a puzzle.
Yeah, so like the big thing we hear here is because we saw it earlier in the season with the Heights challenge is ever since becoming a mom and now coming back, Melissa feels like there's something with her that's causing her more anxiety to do these like quote unquote like more dangerous things.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's sort of like in her head and slowing down. But I think even if she was catching up, she's not a puzzle girl. Tori was beasting it and like
She was
very
so far
clearly
ahead.
wins. She very clearly wins. I like the challenge itself. I don't think it was like conducted for television for like, oh, this is fun to watch. But I think like doing it itself is a good elimination.
Agreed. No, I agree with that. I mean, it just shows that Tori, she is a beast, and she killed it. And, it just sucks that we have Melissa going here. But, another little shout out to Kyland is, his growth throughout the season is the beginning of the
PDA.
season. Yeah, he wouldn't show the PDA. And this time Melissa goes to run off and Kyland runs after her. I was like, man's growing.
Go get your girl. Go get your girl, Kyland. Go get that kiss. Hey, all those other people are jealous. But I like that we were able to have our jokes with the relationship stuff because like that's literally reality television in a whole is everybody cheats on everybody in reality TV. It's very rare where you see people actually be like fully committed. So a lot of stuff I'm saying isn't jest here, but I love back to the actual person, Melissa. Thank you so much for being on this season and giving us something. Because if all else, it just made me realize like how long we went without her because it was since Total Madness. I'm like,
yep.
I need her back. Bring Big T back with her. Bring Kyle back with them. Like I need these people back on a more regular basis on the show.
Well, it's what we've seen from a lot of the UK people, and then this is even kind of split into we'll lump in like Kieran and maybe some of the Aussie people as well, that they're so refreshing because despite the fact that it's 2023, they're playing reality TV like it's 2003, which is awesome.
Right.
And they have such a throwback to them.
It's charisma. Like there's just so many people here that I'm like, I like them, but they're not bringing anything. Like I like it. Ed's not bringing anything. It's like some of these people now really need to step up. And I think one person that we could see stepping up here is Mariah. I think Mariah and Raven are going to be 2 people that are going to stand out more as the season goes on because like we finished the episode with everyone leaving. They're now down to 356, I want to say 356K.
Yes. Yep.
And Mariah's like, I know my name was out there. Like I wasn't the vote, but I know I'm not in a good spot. So you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm like, yes, go off. You know the one thing I don't need anymore, though? I don't need Jay and the other people going, God damn it, whenever they lose 10,000, because you're actively all cheering these last 2 episodes for the champions. And then when champions, you're like, oh my God, you took 10K. God damn it. It's like they think that's the TV moment. I'm like, you're missing the mark.
I mean, they're missing the mark on a lot of things, unfortunately. But I agree with you. It's Mariah. And I just hope from now we had this moment with Tori, and we know that Bananas isn't coming back. He was supposed to come on and be one of the mercenaries.
I'm sure they're going to try whatever they can to have him show up at the reunion.
I'm sure they will, but he didn't want any part of it, which I know you and I were talking was earlier, which I was like, which I like. Like, let's give Mariah something else now, because we've seen this happen in the past where they're like, oh, we have a moment here, we want to blow it up, going back to Bloodlines, where it's, you can't tell me that Abe and his brother were really supposed to be on the show, but they saw everything happen with Kara and Thomas. And so they're like, oh, we need replacement because it quits. This will make good
Right.
TV. We'll bring in Abe. And you could tell that that's what they wanted. They didn't want this to get out there. They wanted Bananas to show up and this to become a thing. And, you know, say what you want about everything with the situation. I don't blame him for not showing up and not wanting that thrown out there. And so because him not being there, that can't keep being a future storyline. Give Mariah a story or the chance at something other than just this season.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you know what? I'm glad that we had 2 episodes where we could just talk shit, because I you know, we needed this. We needed this as challenge.
Like therapy.
We needed a space to just be like, fuck all these people. I can't wait to watch next week.
I have one last question for you that we'll call it challenge adjacent related.
Okay.
We're coming into, you know, because I don't know how much you and I really get to talk about it much, but we're coming down into finale week. And so we have the GOAT of the challenge, Johnny Bananas, versus our podfather, Johnny Fairplay. Who comes out on top? None of us know. We have no idea who wins.
None of us know. Oh, man. Like, I want to ride with Fairplay and believe that the strategies that he implemented from Sandra allowed him to ultimately get on top. And, you know, while Johnny hasn't won anything, I don't know how this endgame will work, or Fairplay in particular. Fairplay hasn't won Survivor, so he didn't win the $1 million. I remember Fairplay going on, like, before leaving for the show, be like, well, I know the exact amount of money that Bananas won.
Made sure to memorize that down to the dollar.
Maybe we'll see that show up this week. I don't know. Like, truly, I do not have any clue what's going to happen. Like, I didn't expect them to still have so much to do for the finale for House of Villains. Like,
so
at season 2, they need to do some better spacing.
They need pacing. I talked to Fairplay on Friday, and like I said, nothing was spoiled. I don't know how it ends, but he was able to tell me that in this hour finale, we have a super villain of the we have a super villain of the week challenge. We have a redemption challenge, and then however the hell the end game's going to work out. I was like, they haven't been able to do 2 challenges in a single episode all year. How the hell are they going to fill the rest of it? But it should be exciting. So, I mean, if you're fans of the challenge, fans of us here, you know, everything with Johnny Fairplay, make sure to check it out. We have a big week this week because not only is it the House of Villains finale, it is also Survivor season 45 finale, which with that, you will have myself, Alex, and Matt Bischoff covering don't watch their stupid after show. We're going to start after the winners revealed.
Whenever the winner's revealed, and they start bringing out the champagne and the bad Fijian pizza, you can find us here on Reality After Show on YouTube and wherever you listen to us on for your podcasts, which, again, rate us 5 stars across all platforms. It really helps with the algorithms. Tell us our good takes. Support us. Love us. Tell me once again that I'm right about my take about Dee and Kim Spradlin, because I've been loving that so far.
All right, can I throw something out there? All right. Was saying that Dee was, you know, not a good player. Sure, maybe that was a little bit off, because even as we talked it out and talked some of the stuff, I think I even backtracked off of that. But my whole thing was Kim Spradlin and getting ripped for that. I was like, look, you're shitting me. So if Dee pulls this off, she is a top 5 winner of all time. No, I don't think I said anything crazy there. I think I was the voice of reason.
To each your own. To each your own.
Fuck you, Dylan Coleman.
But with that wraps up all of our coverage this week. We'll be back next Sunday. Or actually, probably not next Sunday because it's Christmas Eve. We'll figure it out. we'll figure out what we're going to do. Maybe on the 22nd, we'll get a podcast down. Depends on our scheduling. We're both traveling. But you will find us for the next episode, one way or the other. And you'll see us for Survivor. You'll see us for House of Villains. Come on and become a patron at realitypatron.com and get more exclusive content. But until then, we'll see y'all next time.
See y'all.
No quitters.